Hello friends, welcome to CSS video tutorial series. From the previous video tutorial, we are trying to understand structural pseudo class selectors. In the previous video, we have understood :root pseudo class, we have understood :empty pseudo class, how we can use them in our HTML pages. In this video tutorial, I want to discuss some more pseudo classes like :FirstChild, LastChild and OnlyChild pseudo classes, and how we can use them in our HTML pages. You can see here I have a notepad with basic HTML code. Its name is default.html page. You can see I have already opened the default.html page in the Firefox. The title is set to structural pseudo class selectors. In the notepad, in the body section, I am going to create some divs, div with an ID of container, closing div. Within this div, I create some more divs with an ID div1, closing div, and within this div I am going to create just a paragraph. I say here paragraph text closing p. I am going to copy this, paste it 2 times. I copy this div, paste it down. It is going to have the ID div2. It is going to have 2 paragraphs, and I am going to paste one more time. This is going to be div3 and it is going to have only 1 paragraph. So we have div1, div2, div3. Within the div1, I am going to create one h3 element. It is going to have the text heading text closing h3. File, save, go to browser and refresh. That's how it looks. Then I want to apply some styles to these elements. So here I say style equal to border of 2px solid red semicolon. For the div2, I apply the style border of 2px solid green semicolon. For the div3, I am going to say style border of 2px solid blue red green blue. File, save and go to browser, say refresh. You can see div1 has red border, div2 has green border, div3 has blue border. Now we proceed and understand pseudo classes. The first pseudo class I am going to discuss is :FirstChild. This is a syntax. Selector :FirstChild. In flower bracket we write declaration list. What this syntax does actually, it selects any HTML element targeted by the selector if it is the first child, if it is the first child of its parent HTML element. One of the example is p::firstChild. In flower bracket we have border 2px solid red. Now you can see here that p is a tag selector and the first child is a pseudo class keyword. It selects any p element if it is the first child of its parent HTML element. Let's see the demonstration. Here in the head section, I am going to say style type equal to text or CSS closing style tag. Within that, I am going to say locate any paragraph in this page. If it is the first child in its parent, then apply the border of 2px dotted green color. File, save. Now what happens you can understand. You can observe here this paragraph is the first child of the div3. Similarly, this paragraph is the first child of the div2. Whereas here in div1, h3 is the first child. We told only the p elements. So this paragraph in the div2 and div3 paragraph is going to have 2px dotted green color border. File, save, go to browser and refresh. You can see that the first paragraph in the div2 and the first paragraph in the div3 are having the dotted green border. Let's proceed and modify the code. If I say here h3, you can see this h3 element is the first child in the div1. So it is going to have now 2px dotted green border. File, save, go to browser and refresh. You can see that now the first child is selected in the div1. That is the meaning of FirstChild pseudo class keyword. Let's proceed and understand the next pseudo class, that is LastChild. This is a syntax. We write a selector :LastChild. In flower bracket we write a declaration list. What this syntax does, it selects any HTML element targeted by the selector if it is the last child of its parent HTML element. For example, p::LastChild. In flower bracket we have border 2px solid red. It selects any p element if it is the last child in its parent HTML element, then applies the border 2px solid red to it. Let's see the demonstration. Here I change to p and I say LastChild. I told to the system now locate any paragraph in this page. If it is the last child in its parent, apply the border 2px dotted green border. You can see here this paragraph is actually the last child as well as the first child in div 3. So this is going to have dotted green border, and this paragraph is the last child in the div 2. So it is going to have the green border. Similarly, this paragraph is the last child in div 1. It is also going to have the green dotted border. File, save, go to browser and refresh. You can see div 1's last paragraph has the green border. Div 2's last paragraph has the dotted green border, and div 3's paragraph has the dotted green border, which is the last child. So all last children are having now dotted green border. That is the meaning of LastChild pseudo class. Let's proceed further and understand OnlyChild. Selector colon OnlyChild, in flower bracket we write declaration list. It selects any HTML element targeted by the selector if it is the only child of its parent. For example, p colon OnlyChild flower bracket border 2px solid red. What this syntax does, it selects any p element if it is the only child of its parent HTML element. Let's see the demonstration. Here I say OnlyChild, file, save. You can see here in the div 3 paragraph element is the only child, right? Whereas here two paragraphs are there. So this is one child, this is another child. Whereas here 3 paragraphs and one h3 element. Hence only this paragraph is going to have 2px dotted green border because there is the only one child in div 3 which is of type p. File, save, go to browser and refresh. You can see that div 3's paragraph has the green border set. That is the meaning of OnlyChild. It should be the only one child. It should be the only child of that parent element. I hope you guys have clearly understood. FirstChild pseudo class targets to the first child of its parent. LastChild targets to the last child of its parent. OnlyChild targets to the only child of its parent. So that's all about FirstChild, LastChild and OnlyChild. For this tutorial we stop here. In the next tutorial we get some more information on structural pseudo class selectors. For more benefits and be up to date, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to like, comment and share these videos with others so that everyone will get benefited. Keep learning, keep coding, keep sharing. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. See you in the next tutorial.